Welcome everyone to the Football Exponential Podcast. And I'm Chika. I'm joined by Frank.
Hi, Chika. How are we doing? Welcome back to another episode to our listeners and followers.
Yeah, and today, if you like what we're doing or what we are bringing forward to you, please smash the like button, subscribe, drop your comments, and if you want us to talk about any player or about any topics, just drop it in the comment section. Don't forget to smash the like button. Frank, without wasting more time, today we are talking about players who are a lot of players are going to be free agents by the end of the season. A lot.
Yeah,
We have,
yeah.
I think Musiala is also there.
Musiala is 2026,
Oh, 2026. Okay,
so
not.
there's still a bit more time to negotiate that on Bayern Munich's side.
Okay, when is song end of the season?
Son is end of the season. Yeah,
Salah
Son is one of
end of
the
the season. Van Dijk end of the
Salah.
season.
Yeah, exactly. So Liverpool have three that can essentially agree pre-contracts in a few weeks in January. So Salah, Trent, and the captain Virgil van Dijk. So that's a very tricky situation for them in terms of what they have to do now and going forward.
Okay. Then we also have to talk about some managers that we feel are underrated or people don't say much about them. Let's go with the first player. I'll go with Trent. Um, for more context, I checked. Trent has this season he has played 7 games. He has recorded an assist, no goal yet. He has played over 319 games for Liverpool across the competitions. He has
Absolutely.
scored I think 19 goals. But I bet
Yeah.
you he will have more than 50 assists. Like he's
I think the assist is probably
he
close.
can get up to 100 assists though. He's the first. People talk about Cafu, but I didn't really witness Cafu in his prime because I watched him in the World Cup. I didn't watch Roma then growing up, and then when he was in AC Milan, I don't think he was the heart of the team. Like because he had Maldini there, he had Nesta there. He was
Yeah,
just
but it's
and
but it was also but that was also an aging Cafu because I think like
that
his
was it. Yeah,
his
yeah. I
best
think his prime was in
his
Roma.
was in Roma exactly.
Yeah.
So,
They had
but I think in
Sejino
terms
or something like that, and Kiki Kalaze, but I think that was the left back. I think Sejino, I forgot
yeah
to go. But they didn't win the Champions League that season in 2006 with Liverpool that the Istanbul
Istanbul was in
was it
2004,
three? No, I think it's three.
4, 3. Yeah, uh,
Because the second one
4.
was okay. Was it four? The second one
I
was
think it's
five.
4. Was it
Yeah, the
the
AC
second
one.
one? I think second one was 7.
No, it was
But
four. You're
that
hundred.
said,
No, you're 100% right. It's four. It's four.
yeah,
It's
it's
four. So
4.
the second one was
But
five.
I think that's where we're going to off top. But I think if we are to discuss points, because in this situation where it seems we can't, if you're Liverpool, you have to come to a position where you cannot afford to let Trent walk out the door
And he's
for free.
26. He's 26. And he's in
It's
his prime.
it's for me. This is I think I will go as far as saying I'll sit down with Trent and his representatives and say, you know what, this is it. Just put the number you want. Let's just get this contract signed as soon as possible because it sends all the wrong messages within the club and outside the club to even his teammates that are still at the club that want to achieve a lot of things and where Liverpool see themselves in the football hierarchy. And is it a club that's willing to let go of these big players, Salah, Trent, and Van Dijk, and go into a rebuilding phase, or is it a club that wants to keep their best players, ensure or sign them to long-term contracts, and also flex their muscle in the transfer window to get the best and young best players around to the club, ultimately challenge for the Premier League? Because if Trent walks out of this, if Trent leaves Liverpool for a free transfer, I feel it will go down as one of the biggest blunders in football
Yeah,
history
it will
in a
go
long
down.
time because this is a local boy from Liverpool, been at Liverpool his life. He's known this club, and
The
ultimately,
office doesn't look nice no matter how you look at
exactly.
it.
And but it's not even just he's genuinely one of the best, not even players in the Premier League, but even one of, it's not just right back. He's one of the best players in world football right now. what Trent can do on with the ball at his feet, right foot, left foot, the passing, the creativity, the vision he has, the shooting. He has so many strings to his, so many arrows to his in his strings to his bow. Where he's just an overall fantastic player. And
You
if
know,
Liverpool were to
as you're talking, what comes to my mind is Ashley Cole.
exactly,
Because I've been thinking Martin Keown, Winterborn, was it Lee Dixon, something Adams, the captain. Those guys they retired or they didn't live in their prime. I can't
yeah,
remember the last time a local boy. It's like letting John Terry leave. I can't
it's
remember the last time a
exactly.
local
So
boy left.
and like and it's also it's great you mentioned Ashiko because Ashiko goes to Chelsea, and that sort of creates the domino effect at Arsenal where it sends the message, okay, you know what, this club is not at that level with United and Chelsea. You start
Yeah,
losing players like Kolo Toure goes to Man City,
yeah.
Bakary Saka goes to Man City, Nasri leaves, even
Yeah.
Fabregas then leaves to Barcelona. It creates that
Mhm.
domino effect. So where you have players like McAllister is playing well, Luis Diaz is playing well now. These are players you want to keep. Ibrahim Konate, but I feel because the other two, Van Dijk and Trent, is a bit more nuanced to those in those conversations because of age and what's the end. But for me, Trent has to be it. I'll you know when they say you give him the club, I'll give him the club. You know what? If you want to be whatever you want, sign it, put it on that paper. Let's sign it
It
as soon
sends
as possible.
a very bad signal to the dressing room. Like
And
extremely.
and
Like they,
and but you also ask, you also present the bigger question like how do you, as a club the size of Liverpool, and we all have this opinion of Liverpool as a well-run club in recent years with Klopp and all that, but how do you as a club the size of Liverpool find yourself in this situation where the three best players on your squad could walk out of the door in could agree pre-contract in January with any club in Europe? How do you get to this position where you don't
but
manage the situation properly?
I don't care. I don't care. Maybe I'm wrong. But if I'm an owner, I'm an executive, or whatever. On no account should any player have less than 2 years in their contracts. I don't care. I can't let you have 1 year. Yeah,
Exactly,
because whatever did not change till 1 year, the possibility of changing is going to be very less. I don't care how many assurances you
exactly.
give me. So Campbell did the same thing and he left. I don't care how much you assure me. If you are not able to sign it before 2 years, do you understand? It's a different thing
Yeah,
like
yeah,
LeBron James or what, but that's American football. Those like he say he wants to sign a 1 year or Steph Curry or whatever. But I don't think in football you have those kind of legends or whatever. Like I don't get me wrong. If I'm making you an offer and I cannot pay and you want something astronomical, right? It
yeah,
might look bad, but I'm getting my money and I'm letting you go, right?
yeah, yeah,
I'm determining, I'm making a choice, opportunity cost or whatever. But I'm not letting you run it down to 1 year.
yeah.
I'm not doing that.
And again, it's not a situation where it's the likes of Roberto Firmino or Matip or Sergio Mane that's aged a bit, is starting to lose his overall quality on the pitch. But you're talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold, one of the best players in the Premier League, the best, probably the second top three best players at the football club. And if from a club administrative point of view, I would just this is something that where is it a situation where you have to put some blame towards the door of Jurgen Klopp because ultimately he was the manager, he was the coach at Liverpool, and he has this. He was
But he's not able to convince the players, the director of football that does that.
and
Like,
yeah, but that's the problem where you have a situation in Liverpool where two sporting directors have to leave the club in a short amount of time.
okay,
Is
okay,
that
I get what you're
because
saying.
is that because they can work with Jurgen Klopp, and it's well documented where Jurgen Klopp starts deciding transfers, gets involved in that side of the game. But it's also I find it a bit it's just strange, and it's like we've seen it with Chelsea in the last few years where you go into the season, you have players like Andres Christensen and Antonio Rudiger at the time who were two of the better centre backs in Premier League. Yeah, you've not signed a contract extension, and they ultimately leave to Barcelona and Real Madrid, and we've seen how Rudiger has gone on to establish himself as one of the better centre backs in Europe. And with this new owners coming in at Chelsea, one of the reports coming out of the of from within the club is they don't want that situation ever to happen again.
But
And
you
that's
know,
why and but that's why you see like with with these contracts they're giving out, 5, 6 years, it buys you a lot of time. Because, for example, say you had Chelsea sign Cole Palmer, for example, last season, giving Cole Palmer a 4-year contract. This is the second year of that contract. You're already thinking about the next contract now because he's performing at such a level that is bringing attraction to the player. If we have a lot of suitors in European football, Real Madrid, Man Cities, and whatnot, you start getting worried, okay, if you don't start performing better on the pitch, could you lose a player? But if you sign Kopama now, give him a 6-year contract, you can kick back and relax. You know what? He's locked in for long term. Whether if he performs fantastic, that's great. It only increases his value and whatnot. We can come back and negotiate and increase or agree better terms, but your contract is still locked in for a long term. And it's a situation where you see most clubs going forward will start to adopt this Chelsea's it's because
Mm.
it's nothing new. What is Chelsea's policy where you give long contracts because you can also amortize the contracts or you can amortize the transfer fee across the year of those contracts, so it breaks it down on the financial side. But it gives you that security with your best assets where you have enough time, you can sort it out. But now with Trent, Salah, and Van Dijk, I don't think I've seen it in football where not one, not two, three of
But
them.
as we are talking, I'm just thinking of right backs and left backs and defenders who were in their prime. I'm just thinking about in all the big clubs in the Premier League, left backs and right backs who were in their prime, who left their clubs, like right, left their
Yeah,
club because the club lacked ambition, because the club didn't agree to pay them what they felt they deserved. Do you know, apart from Ashley Cole, I can't come up. It always ends disaster. Let me give you an example. Even if the player might be deficient in some areas, Gail Clichy, he ended up bad for Arsenal. He went to City, he won the title.
yeah.
Something Sagna, I forgot his first name.
Bakary Sanya.
But do you understand what I'm trying to say? He
Yeah,
left, he won the title. It's a different thing. Like if it's not all that rated like West Brown. Remember West Brown, John
yeah.
O'Shea, those ones that are
But
like
but but these are genuine
so
world
yeah,
class
but
talents.
Patrick Evra, he stayed there till end of his like. Oh, they have to leave when you see that the production has dropped.
Yeah,
Namanja Vidic, you had Roy
yeah.
Ferdinand. You understand what I'm? You don't let those guys walk. You don't. The only guy was actually cool. I can't come up with somebody. Those guys just don't never work. They
And
only leave when you feel or remember, even Gary Neville had to retire in Manchester United. As soon as
yeah,
retired, the time Fabio wasn't really good enough. They moved the Ashley Young at the time. They moved the Antonio Valencia there as number two. You don't just let no matter.
yeah.
I remember
It's
another name is Kyle Walker. Remember Kyle Walker
yeah,
in Tottenham also. He wasn't that
yeah,
sort of player in. He wasn't that sort of player in Sheffield United. I think he came from Sheffield. Yeah, he wasn't that
yeah.
sort of
But
player in Sheffield United. But Tottenham, it was Tottenham that he built his name. And
yeah.
Aston Villa, he went on loan to Aston Villa, but it just never ends well.
But like it's again. I go back to Ashley Cole, and it's like because I feel like Ashley Cole is probably in the top two, top three conversations for best fullback or left backs in Premier League era. But with Trent, it goes beyond that. Trent is a genuine world superstar, where we see him on is the face of different fashion houses, and he has his off the pitch any capabilities
But
as well.
I thought about
And
another
but
name. I
who
thought about another name that ended in regret. Massive
who
regret. Lucio. Bayern Munich to Inter Milan. He
exactly?
don't
But
remember. It's
but
different
exactly.
from.
But I'll
He
even go,
don't let those kind of players.
I'll even go further, and it's a player that left the same club Lucio was at Bayern Munich, but he went to Real Madrid and has achieved a lot. He's currently injured now, but David Alaba, where
Yeah.
he lives by and goes to Real Madrid. He's he he's won a lot, but he's currently injured. But it's also a situation where we see how Real Madrid have been approaching or maneuvering signing players for free in the
Yeah.
last few years. Rudiger's, Alaba's, and I'm sure with Jude Bellingham on that team, they're leading a charm offensive campaign to just
Who's the
seduce
starting right back
Trent.
for Real Madrid? Cavalla, right?
But Carvajal, who's
Oh,
out
he's
for the
almost
next nine
done.
months.
He's
But
almost
but
done.
even well, but even at that, but it also puts or he forces Madrid to accelerate their search for a right back because they need the right back right now. And is it that you just, okay, we manage for this season, but we have to go all out for one of the best talents in world football, and that's Trent
So Trent
Alexander-Arnold.
for Trent in Madrid will make very good sense.
I can just picture it like his long passes to Vinicius Mbappe. It's Trent is a Galactico. He's a Galactico in Liverpool. So you know what, I feel for Liverpool because I feel he'll leave.
If he'll leave, right?
I feel he'll leave. I feel Trent to leave. Then it comes back to this whole discussion. Okay, if you're, in my opinion, Trent already one foot out of the club because he's done a few interviews on international break recently, and last time where he's more or less saying he's not quite sure right now where Liverpool's ambitions rank in English football. Where are we? Because for a long time Liverpool have been 1 and 2 in the Premier League, more times number two, but they've been neck and neck with Man City for titles in the Premier League. But it seems in the recent years they've gone from 1 and 2. They're now 3. Klopp has gone. Will they stay at 3 and go to number 2 and 1, or will they be number third best club in England, or even slip further down to fourth, fifth? Is that where you want to sign a long term contract and just be another Steven Gerrard in a way? Because ultimately Steven Gerrard didn't win. He didn't win as much as Trent has won in Liverpool. But he signed that long when he was flirting with Chelsea. He ultimately signed that long term contract, and he just ended up his career at Liverpool with really actually just one Champions League to show for it. Like, I know you go down as a cult hero in Liverpool, but if a player like Trent still has an appetite for the big trophies, the big nights, the glamour of European football, I feel he will start questioning Liverpool's ambition because we've seen how Liverpool they signed only one outfield player.
But
Well, no, they signed only one player this season. Does that start playing your mind like, you know what, this club is not in the
so
position
to
to
me,
give me
it's
what
lack
I
of
need.
ambition. They have good executives. They have everything, but there's lack of ambition from the owners. That's
Mm.
no matter how much it flies it, there's lack of
Yeah,
ambition from them.
and the way I agree because I feel the best decision these owners have done since they bought the club was to bring in Jurgen Klopp. Because when you bring in a manager like Jurgen Klopp, who's in a way taking your investment from around that when you buy the club for around 400, 500 million, Liverpool is now worth close, or even more than 4 or 5 billion in terms of the overall club's worth.
Um,
That is from an owner perspective, like this is fantastic. But it's now when you now start looking at it, but on the pitch, can you buy the talents that can go up against Arsenal? Because it's not just Trent. Okay, so what happens to Salah? What happens to Van Dijk? Do you go on the market and spend 100 million, 60,
they'll
80
keep
million to get
they'll keep
players?
Salah,
I feel
except he goes to
you know,
Saudi Arabia.
you know what? I feel Trent and Salah will go. They'll keep Van Dijk because I think Van Dijk is the one
So who
that's
pays Salah what he's getting right now?
Paris. There's always Paris. There's Paris Saint-Germain. There's even in the Premier League, it's not that far fetched to imagine Salah going across to Man City. It's not that crazy because Man City would you take off from your opponent one of their better players, you improve your team, and we all know Man City can afford to do that and still because Liverpool operates in a very measured financial spending package, or especially when they don't spend a lot compared to other clubs in the Premier League. But it's an interesting situation to see how that
And when
develops.
they sell Salah, they'll go and buy Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, no,
I think
no, but like moving on to Salah now, I feel if I was to rank it amongst these three, who would I keep? Who would I who would I consider letting go? But and who I'll let go? I'll let go of Salah because I know this has nothing to do with a fantastic player, but this comes to a point where you just have to let certain players. We saw with Mane, we've seen it with Firmino where they let those players go at certain times where they could have stayed a bit longer, but they let them go. But you can see if you can always. I feel with Salah you can replace Salah's output with an aggregate of certain players. So you get, for example, you get an Anthony Gordon, you get a Mohamed Kudus, you get those kind of players, but you get Alexander Isak to the club where you get a striker that scores, that takes the scoring burden, and you get a creative player to go with that striker. So there are a lot of options, but the ones that I feel you genuinely cannot replace is one Van Dijk and Trent. Van Dijk is still, in my opinion, the best centre back the Premier League has seen, and Trent is still Trent will go down as one of the best right backs. So I, if you look at the football market now, we've seen just across town or across the area, you see how much United have spent on centre backs in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They spent close to about more than Maguire, Lisandro Martinez, Delete. And I've seen a situation where it's quite debatable that Johnny Evans might still be their quote unquote best centre back. So it's a very tough position to fill in these days. Saying with centre backs, there are a lot of misses in terms of signing people, bringing them to the league, or even signing within the league. I'm going to a club that expects and requires you to play in a different way than most centre backs would be. Because if you go to Liverpool, your centre back, boom, you're bang on the halfway line, playing a high line to compress the pitch. You have to be good on the ball, fantastic with your passes, good with drills and all that. So there are very few that you can really point out that can come and excel, unless you want to go down the route of an unproven talent from France or from Belgium or from Denmark, and you bring them in, then Van Dijk can help bed in those players
Mhm.
as they go on. But it's very tough. But it's like as I always say, time is undefeated, and it just seems time has come for setting up for a few of these players now.
Okay, Frank. With time constraint, let's go to the next topic. One more topic before we go. Let's go with managers. We'll do this daily recap on players that are going to be free agents soon. We have lots of them. Sane is there, Son is there. I will be so emotional with Son. Well, let's leave it for that day. Let's go with managers, underrated managers. Let's go with Frank, Thomas Frank.
That's like yeah.
So let's for more context. He joined Brentford as an assistant coach in 2016 from Bromby, and then in 2016, yes, in 2018 he was made the head coach. I think he played one of the playoffs. He was defeated by who was that? In one of I
No,
would
it was he lost to Scott Parker's Fulham.
because I remember one of the first games he
Yeah,
beat
I remember
Swansea. I
it
remember
was. Yeah, I
I watched
remember
the
it.
first
So
one with Swansea because Andrew Ayew was the elder
yeah,
one. Dede Ayew was in that team. I remember that was the first day I found Rico something. Is it Rico Henry something Henry? What's his name?
yeah,
The right back
yeah, yeah.
was he
Rico
was
Henry,
very very good
left back.
in
Yeah,
that game. Is it left back? Okay, the left back
yeah,
was
left
very
back.
so. But he later won promotion in 2020-2021 season. And
Yeah.
what I found out also that was so impressive for me is that he got to the semi-finals of the League Cup in 2020-2021 for a championship side to get to the
Oh,
that's very very
yeah,
very this thing. Hold on,
yeah.
what's the EFL?
That's EFL is the League Cup.
Yeah, he got to the league semi. I didn't know that. I just found a league cup
Okay.
of that's very very massive for this thing. Then also in 2023, he finished ninth in the table.
Is
That is massive. Then 2024 he finished 16th, and that is then what makes him very very special to me is the mere fact that what he did that was so special to me is this is a man that have lost two key strikers. He lost Oli Watkins. He
yeah.
signed Ivan Tony. He lost Ivan Tony. He signed Mbuemo. You know, Mbuemo was Brentford's record signing. I didn't know that. Mbuemo
The,
was
but
yeah.
I feel he's probably lost that because they had how much was in Puebla?
No, he's no longer. But when they signed him, it
Yeah.
was a
Okay.
record sign, like six
Yeah.
million or
Exactly.
five or
Yeah.
something like that from a French club. I
Yeah.
didn't know that he was then there, which means they saw something in him, and that was one of the reasons they signed him. So he saw somebody. I don't even know how he's able to play as a striker. He played like a midfielder, but
But it's also, but like you said, like it's also like important to also state that Brentford is, for a long time when Brentford won the championship, they were one of the very first clubs to go all in on data analytics and to find margin in terms of player recruitment, set pieces. overall tactical aspects with using data to drive those footballing side and on the pitch and off the pitch. And it's quite for I don't know if they still are the owners, but I think at a point the owners of Brentford were also the owners of a Danish club in Denmark, FC Midtjylland, where you see most of their players who played in Midtjylland. They've gone on from Midtjylland to
Oh, is that why they
so
have lots of Danish guys?
so so
Ah,
so the likes of so like Norgard who was in Danish football
they
and
have
went to
no guy.
Serie
They
A.
have Jensen or something with J.
Yeah, so like so Norgard plays in Danish league, goes to Serie A. They ultimately comes back and links up with Thomas Frank again at Brentford, having been coached by Thomas Frank through the Danish under 17, under 19 pathways. And you see players like even Frank Onyeka, who's left the club, was at FC Midtjylland, goes on to Brentford. And you see they've always been able to find value in places a lot of teams have not, a lot of clubs
There's
don't look
another
at.
one,
So,
Roslev. Is he Danish?
Roslev, I think, I'm not sure.
The right
I think,
back. The
right, I
name
think
doesn't sound Danish, but I
Rose,
think it's Danish.
no, Roslev is Danish. Then Alex is German. So they've always been able to find. So you see, like all these players we mentioned, Norgard, Jensen, their combined transfer fees is no more than 10 million pounds. And these are players that they had since championship days, and they've managed to come up with them to the Premier League, and they've improved as the club has improved. Where you see they've gone from they've built a new stadium now. That is a steady Premier League club right now with these players in their team. Because let's not forget, this is a club that up until this recent transfer window, they don't really spend much in the transfer window. They rarely go in. So majority of that team is still players they had with from championship days, like Rico Henry, Brian Bremo,
No,
until exactly Pinnock, until recently Ivan Tony,
Raya,
yes,
yeah.
those kind of even David Raya until he left for Arsenal. So these are players and that's where the coaching comes in from Thomas Frank, where he's able to improve these players with time to a certain level where they can compete weekly amongst the richest and the better players in Premier League. And the value add he adds not just on the pitch, because you see Thomas Frank how he speaks. It's a way I would say he has this overall um characteristics of that similar to Jurgen Klopp, where he's the club. He treats the club like a family, where we're all in this together. We're pulling in the same direction. Everybody's fighting for the team. There's this overall feeling where he's quite. I would say he's very. He finds very unique ways to
But
sort out
I think
problems.
his personality has let him down in some occasions. I'll give you an
Yeah,
example. He has
yeah,
not the same, but a little bit. There's a similarity in his personality with the personality of Espirito, right? The only thing is that with Nuno Espirito, you realize that he can be bossy when he wants to be, right? Okay, he has
yeah,
the same personality with Steve Cooper or Steve Cooper. You know Steve Cooper of
yeah,
where is it
yeah.
now? Yeah, like they are.
Leicester City.
So he jokes a lot. You know, with the recent managers, look at Ten Hag. Maybe it's because of the headlines. Even Sean Dyche is authoritative. Frank doesn't seem like he's authoritative. He gets the work done, but he's so down. I was watching an interview where a
No, but
journalist was interviewing him. You won't know the difference between him and the journalist. You would think they are all you understand what I'm trying to say? It's like
I know,
maybe the Danish culture or something.
but yeah, I think I will attribute that to a bit of the overall the Danish in him, where he's just everything is not is a bit played down. They're very low key,
Mhm.
and but I feel like he's been at this club as head coach since 2018. He's one of the longest serving managers at any club in the Premier League right now, other than probably Pep. So it's getting to the point where with the chopping and change of managers at bigger clubs, do you see Ten Hag fitting into any of those possible vacancies in the future? Say like Manchester. The obvious one is Manchester United, or even Tottenham, or a club like Chelsea that we both know, like we both well know, in terms of can he scale up to that level as a coach?
No, he can. Why? But another thing is that even when he scales up, I was looking at so many records. Do you know that these coaches, some of them don't really get bad. When you appoint them, you see what they are doing, you see the way they are
Yeah,
playing, right? You
yeah,
appoint them. The problem is that you now want them to do extra, to do something they were never doing. I look at Sarri, for example, when Chelsea appointed him. He didn't win in Napoli. He had a philosophy. So why are you going to complain he's not winning it? Understand what I'm trying to say. I was looking at Nuno, for example. Let me give you an example of what I'm saying in Nuno. Nuno finished seventh, ninth in the first season, another team ninth in the second season, or seventh, one of them, seventh, ninth, or something like that. And he went for the quarterfinal. But the problem
At
is the complaint
Wolves.
at Wolves.
This at Wolves, yeah.
The problem they complained his football style wasn't good when he went to Tottenham. You know him before you appointed him. I don't know if you
Exactly.
understand what
It's
I
yeah,
allow him
I
to do
understand.
his job. So
Yeah,
this guy, he might not. Thomas Frank is the only coach in Premier League. I don't think any other person. He doesn't have a playing style. He plays any style to succeed. He's very very fluid, right?
yeah.
He's because
But he
and that
has. I think like I think I'll say he has certain game models and certain principles that, regardless of how fluid the shape is or how aggressive they are in pressing or defending in low block, those certain principles you can still see them. But I feel they play that game is based on your position. Where if you're playing against Man City, you know we have
yeah,
to. You see, they normally go to a back three against the bigger teams away from home. Okay, we're going to absorb pressure, but we also we counter with. They are one of the few teams in Premier League that play not weekly, but they play two strikers sometimes. With before Tony left, I mean Tony and Mbuemo, and now Tony has left. It's now Mbuemo and Wissa who is currently injured. So they always have, and they know they can always go wrong long. They are a fantastic pressing team. They're one of the better
in
pressers in
fact,
the Premier League.
they are one of the best pressers. You know those
So
guys
and
that scored goal in like the first 3 minutes, like four times straight or three times straight this season. Like
is
in,
it 3 or 4? I
I
think it's
don't know,
four
but
now.
if they just blow the whistle, you will
I
realize
think
that that
so.
was that
Yeah.
class.
So it
I
goes
will
back to
never
the
buy a
point. So
player from him
so
because if you
but
buy his player, is his coaching. I'm not taking anything away from the players, right? If you don't share the same philosophy with him as regards coaching, you buy that player. It is him. Just look at Noga, look at all those players. It is him putting them in positions where they're excelling. So if you don't share that characteristics or that style with him, you won't be able to put those players in that position to excel. You start saying these
I go
players
yeah.
are not good enough, but it is the
Yeah,
coaching
exactly.
that is achieving those
And
things
so,
here.
it's also the ability to extract talent from certain players that are not quite fancied at certain levels. Where you see all of that, players they signed at that club before they came to the Premier League, and their first few years in Premier League, they're not like there are very few. Like of course they have that Danish connection where they have a lot. They have at least about close to 8 Danish players on their squad. But they also have like a few other players where they pick up from League One, like Johan Wissa, they picked him up from League One. He didn't really wasn't really a fantastic goal scoring record, but you've seen how he's developed in the last 2 years in Premier League, where he's now a consistent goal scorer, a 1 in 3 sort of player. In Brentford, sort of the same now, where they score goals consistently, but not just scoring goals, but they've also bought into the overall principle of the football club, where you have to work hard. You see the amount of ground in Bremo. I feel in Bremo is one of those players that is, for some reason, he's underrated in Premier League. Like outside the top clubs, you struggle to find a player that's more consistent in terms of goal scoring, in terms of assists, in terms of overall work on the pitch, the pressing, the running, and all those statistics. I feel you struggle to find a player that excels better than Bremo in all those categories. And going back to just if you take back to Liverpool, is that a player you can look at and see, or can we bring in Bremo and get him to the club? Can he excel in our environment and scale up in terms of his goals? Because we saw they did the same with Mane from Southampton to Liverpool. So it's a very unique situation. But in terms of Thomas Frank and how he can scale up to, or can he scale up to another club or a bigger club?
100% he will.
But I feel there's one important point that's very important. And I feel it's the environment. If the environment has to be the right choice, because we've
No, but you
seen
have to
like
hand him the keys. When
exactly,
you
exactly.
appoint him, you don't give him a director.
No, no,
Because
no, no,
I was
no.
thinking something as we are talking. Do you know? I might be wrong. No, when I mean wrong, I'm sure of these two clubs, but I don't think of another club, or maybe there's another club. Do you know the two best clubs for environment of a player? The two best clubs that the fans, even when the players are not playing all right, is a family club. There's something so good with them. Is Brighton and Brentford. I've seen so many players that have made mistakes in Brentford, week in, week out. They are relegation. Look at Onyeka. Look at how they celebrated him. You will know he doesn't start every week. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying
Yeah,
to say.
exactly.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's from the
exactly.
owners. Look at Brighton. Is it Bonatet or something like that? As in Leicester, it wasn't all
But
that good enough. Look at
yeah,
Nsinso. Nsinso has gone so up and down. Look at Evan Ferguson. He's no
it's
longer
gone
playing
up.
games.
Yeah,
But when they
exactly.
put him, so Fulham, if you have a bad game in Fulham, look at the way they are causing Issa Diop, even if it's a small club. Understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Look at him in Rebullion or whatever that is in Everton. He hasn't had some good games. He's already in the bench. But these two clubs, Brentford and Brighton, the fan base, everything you are except it gives you time
It's
to build
and
yourself.
yeah, that's I agree 100%. It's also like that's what we say when we say the environment, because like you said with Brighton, and we've seen with another coach that was at Brighton, Graham Potter leaves Brighton, goes to Chelsea, and within 6 months, he's gone from this highly rated manager in Premier League to a manager that doesn't know how to navigate in a club like Chelsea. And you start hearing the old cliches like, oh, the club is too big for him. But I just feel these are managers that you see them. Graham Potter was at Brighton for more than 4 years, or close to 4 years, where you come in, you see the environment, you start making decisions like chopping players or bringing players in that fit your overall philosophy and the long term vision of the club and the coach as well. So it's if I feel if clubs want to get this sort of players in, this sort of managers in, you have to be sure, okay, if it gets rocky, if the bad times come, you need to stick to it. If in fact once because if those bad times come, if the noise starts
Yeah,
growing, if the
yeah,
results don't
yeah,
come, that's why you need to be steadfast in your trust in these coaches because
yeah. Oh, so okay, Frank will join us back. Yeah.
in a year or two, do you sack him and say, oh, he's not a good manager? But in reality, Thomas Frank will probably need at least 2 full seasons to get United to where they need to be. And so if we are to propose now, say, because I feel United will sack Eric Ten Hag is a dead man walking. Figure to say he'll be sacked, but it comes in. The question is, at what point do they make that decision to get rid of Ten Hag? Because I don't think he's the long term coach for that project.
But I'm starting to doubt those guys if they are good enough in football.
But
Those United guys.
I think with football sometimes because football goes sometimes we just need to see certain things play out. But if I'm Manchester United, if I'm one of those guys on making those decisions, I probably would have sacked him a bit earlier. But it's what it is now. You're in now. I will at this point in time let go of Ten Hag, install Van Nistelrooy as an interim.
There's a report that he won't take the job.
Until he's offered, we don't know. So I think
Okay.
I'll place him.
And reality is different from
Exactly.
perception.
So I will place him. I'll place him as an interim. Then I'll start the hard work now. Okay, setting that environment ready for the next group because we've seen like in terms of the overall ages of coaches at these big clubs, it has reduced now. Where you see, Lorenzo Maresca has never managed a Premier League game before until he came to Chelsea. Arteta had never managed. He had never been a full time
Yeah,
manager
yeah, yeah, yeah.
until he goes to Arsenal. Then you see him in Bayern Munich where they go for the left field option, Vincent Company. Even Bayer Leverkusen, the defending German champions, they go for a manager had never managed at senior level. Alonso, and we see that is why I feel. But the reason why the Alonso can succeed, Arteta is now succeeding, is the environment is solid. So
Yeah.
if you have certain players that are not up to the standard, you can easily pick them out. Where I don't know for whatever it's, but let's say the likes of the Aubameyangs, the Ozils, you can see okay, these are players that can't go along with us with this journey. Then you get that environment ready. You get people in the right places to make those decisions in terms of recruitment and letting go of players. But for me, the biggest, like as you said, you're starting to question the new sporting directors at United. But for me, the biggest worry I had for them going into this season was if you had doubts about Eric Ten Hag, the last thing you do is you don't go out and back him with the players he wants to get. You don't go out and back him with Emmanuel Ugarte, Delete, those kind of players. Because if any other manager comes in, or you're forced to make that decision, what then happens to these players? If, say, for example, you make that decision, you bring in Thomas Tuchel because Tuchel is one of the big names still available as a head coach. You bring in Thomas Tuchel. It's what document Thomas Tuchel had fallen out with the late Bayern. Does he still stick with the
Yeah.
late? Does he stick with Ugarte? Then you end up just going, instead of going forward, you just end up going, effectively you're going steps back, and it's going to be expensive to make this decision because one, you also have to worry about the wage bill because these players are not cheap. You also have to worry about
Mhm.
overall performance on the pitch, and also the ability to attract and spend on big players in terms of talent. And I feel like I won't be surprised if we see more clubs, because a lot of clubs are doing this in Europe right now. But we'll see more clubs in the Premier League and even in Europe approach their football or their overall footballing restructure the way Chelsea have right now, where you let go of the big expensive players, the experienced players, the likes of the Sterlings, the Kovacic,
Oh,
Jorginhos,
yeah.
those kind of players, and you just go all in on players that you can have. You spend. I know you spend a lot of money, but you get players like Noni Madueke, who's a bright talent in Holland. You bring him to the environment. They have a Mudrik, those kind of players. I know it's a bit, some of them have been hit and miss, but you bring in a Cole Palmer, a Jackson. But you see these players are not that, some of them have been expensive, but some of them have been quite for good fees.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you try and build a totally brand new environment, a more, because you see the way a lot of Chelsea players are like speaking about them, about the mood, that teammates is very positive, where it's like a family now, where you see if I call it non-Maduke, just speaking about how they see each other on the football pitch. So that kind of environment, but I feel with United is just so toxic, and there's also, I have this feeling that it might just be a job that it might take them years or even decades to get it fixed. Because because United, there's so much pressure playing for United. Like
You know, there's so much pressure.
it's and it's a situation where it's like
Anyone that argues is United is the biggest English
no,
club. I'm a Chelsea fan,
no,
but
they are,
United,
but
there's so
no,
much pressure.
the pressure.
And the ex-players are not helping. I don't know. There's so many, but
They keep
Ferguson to have kept quiet has done more good for them than I'm surprised it doesn't hit out. But the ex-players, and sometimes the way they analyze football, like they attack the person's personality. So I don't get
it's
it.
so
Like,
it's so it's
don't argue about the football.
so most
You
of
have a Roy Keane arguing that players shouldn't be wearing. What is your problem with what players are wearing? Like,
so
are
it's
they playing well? Like,
exactly
I don't get it.
so it's always like so United, like most United players are one bad game away from being analyzed, overanalyzed, dissected from what they're doing off the pitch. Is it training well? Is it clubbing? Is all those kind of all those kind of discussions, but it's not productive.
Mikel is the only Chelsea person that recently. I've never heard John Terry
And
or who
I know,
or Drogba or
no,
Bala.
yeah, exactly. But like United, you can count at least 10 of them that are on different media platforms. In England, you know, you have Neville, Roy Keane, Scholes, Michael Owen,
Rooney.
Rio
And
Ferdinand, Rooney, Schmeichel is involved now. Who again? Soon, if
Yeah.
if Ronaldo retires in the near future, he will join them as well. All talking about, whenever they talk, they're always talking about back in my days. But the thing about the old days is they are the old days. You have to move.
Yeah.
Football is not played the way Roy Keane used to play football. Roy Keane cannot no Roy Keane cannot talk to his teammates now the way he talks to his teammates back then. It's not it's moved on. So you can't keep expecting what worked in the past to work now. Because I'm just thinking, no, at this point, you might as well just, you know what, since they all know collective, they all know best, bring all of them back, put Sky Level as managers, Roy Keane as assistant, let them just run the club. Because they all seem to have the right
And
ideas.
football wise, they've not succeeded in anything. They're just all in the media.
All Ferguson's sons. Those are all of Ferguson's sons. All of his sons
And it's true.
all of his sons that have gone on to coach as football coaches, wherever they've been, look at all of them. Just see.
Apart from all the stuff, it's true. The most successful was Steve Okay,
no,
he didn't play for him, but he was the assistant.
no,
Steve McLaren
yeah, I think the most successful
was Steve Bruce.
and consistent in a job is Steve Bruce, where you see how probably Steve Bruce.
They had one very fake one I didn't like was Brian Robson or
Steve
something
Bruce
like that.
and Mark.
He relegated West Brom.
Steve Bruce and
Can never forget.
and Mark Hughes, where you see how, because you see, guy never goes to a job at Valencia, boom, is off. Roy Keane off. Rooney is getting there.
Hold on, where's Funeral? He's off. He was in America. I think in Miami.
That's the level he was managing. He was managing
And
Messi.
also,
He was
there's another thing before we end. There's another thing we'll have to talk about it. Maybe I won't say I'm a sexist, but I don't like
no.
seeing men. I don't like seeing men footballers manage the female game,
That's for no,
and
that
I want to see
that's for the
the female manage their game because I want to see them grow. That's
you,
understand what I'm saying.
you know
I want to see because I feel in
you,
terms of intellectual,
you know what
in terms of the theory or whatever, the female can be as good as the men.
I you know
So I want to see.
I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that I think that's a brilliant point you made because what you say you want to see is basically about opportunities where you want to see
One of the things I like about Chelsea was the woman left, they replaced with a very good woman again. Understand what
yeah
I'm trying to
exactly
say? The
exactly
women that can talk, that knows the game. There are some female analysts, forget. There are some female analysts I listen to on TV. If they are not female, I won't know they are female. Their knowledge of the game.
yeah
Naturally, a man knows more than the woman because it's a man's game. But if you dedicate more time to it, you can be as good as the man. You
yes
understand what I'm trying to
yeah
say? Yeah. So that exception of saying no, no, no. So we'll talk about that one day.
yeah
But I want to see the successful clubs,
yeah give
especially for the female game,
I think
handled by the female.
give I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
give more opportunities to and that's like just a little bit on women's football and the state of women's football right now where we see it's growing in terms of the popularity, the interest in it, the investment in it. Where in the next 2 years you see more ex players that have retired. They found because previously it's like, okay, if you're a football player and you retire, it's not really a profitable career path going into football. But right now, you see how the WSL, the Women's Super League in England,
Mhm.
and we see Barcelona, Lyon, PSG, what they're all doing in Europe, how they're investing in those teams. Where if say a player retires, now you can if you can go through coaching, come out as a football coach, and football clubs, I would want them to give more experience, more opportunities to these female head coaches at these big clubs because I feel it will serve the game better. It's not. I'm not saying I don't want to see men in managing women's team. That's
No, no, no,
no.
no. Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
just I want the game to be in a position where the best teams are well resourced enough to put players that are interested in going to coaching into
Yeah, yeah,
put them
yeah.
through the education, and when they come out of that education they have opportunities to get jobs as head coaches because it's always I feel the development because I was watching Chelsea's game because Chelsea got W at Emirates. Chelsea women got W at Emirates Stadium yesterday against Arsenal, which is
Uh,
which was nice. But it's nice like you see as one because I feel like Arsenal are one of the clubs that have done it perfectly or are doing it perfect right now. Where Arsenal's women's team are going to play majority, if not all of their home games at the Emirates Stadium this season. Chelsea's women's team are going to play their Champions League group games and probably knockout stage games at Stamford Bridge this season. So it's that growing curve where you see
that's
them,
okay, yeah,
you
yeah.
see it going, you see the more eyes on it, more discussion. Like imagine we're discussing about women's football on our podcast right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
think so.
I've not really. I have to put more attention to the. It's growing very, very,
It's
very,
growing,
very fast. And another thing I noticed, I'm surprised many people have not noticed it. Man, if you look at female football, banger goals. Like
no,
it's the defending is not as good as the men defending at the same time. But the goals, like if you're looking for excitement, like
no, it's
the
all
goal tracking goals is like is the
that's the
power. They shoot a lot. Like
no, there's some brilliant
yeah.
players. There's some because and that's where you give credit to the likes of the Martas, the German legends, even
Yeah, yeah,
even
yeah.
you see them where a lot of younger players now all like I looked up to Marta, but now the next generation comes to there are a variety of players I'm looking up to. The Arsenal players, the Chelsea players, Sam Kerr, even
Yeah,
The Barcelona Ballon d'Or winners, Bomati, Futela. So they see it's. I feel right now this is what we want to see because end of the day, I feel where I want to see the sports are just where opportunities for if you want to get involved, you go out and you play. If you're good, you get your opportunities, regardless of gender, race, or creed. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's how I see it personally, and I feel whenever I see games being played on TV with the crowd capacity, the quality of the pitch, the quality, and you see a lot of care going into
Because
the overall
the
development.
game has grown. The game has grown so much now that you know how basketball is,
Yeah.
right? If I have two twin daughters, like twins, right? And every morning I take them the same day to watch the game, every morning to go for coaching or whatever. I can tell it's all about interest. If the girl is as interested in that game as the guy, right? You cannot tell me that the guy will be better than him. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. It's
Exactly.
all about
And
interest
just
and knowing it from the.
interest
We've gone past those days of saying this is a
it's like
no, 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 no.
and that's the thing, like it's interest. But when you have that interest, okay, how do you nurture and develop past the interest and put it into action? So you see training the training facilities, the pitches, the stadiums where you can play at. You not little because I have a daughter obviously, so little girls can see you can see this girl. These are you can see your heroes on TV, and it's
Yeah, yeah,
like with us. We say, okay, oh, I want to be like Mike. I want to be. I see MJ. Okay, a lot of basketball players, right? And
yeah.
we say, oh, what made me get to this was watching Michael Jordan
Yeah,
scoring those
yeah.
points, or watching Magic Johnson, or watching
Oh, the scatter. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. But
Duncan, I
so
get
now
what
you
you're
so the
saying.
next generation that when Anita Boman what won that Ballon d'Or. That's when I saw it. Those images inspired me to pursue my footballing career. And you see a lot of clubs, and there's still still a lot of work to be done in terms of the overall infrastructure, investments, and development. But I feel it's in the last 4 years, it's come a long way so far.
Yeah. Oh, Frank, that should be all for us today. We'll come again. We'll discuss more about certain players. Thanks for our listeners. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks, Frank.
Okay. Yeah.
Have a good day for everyone.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.